Hello, and welcome to the Smart Injury Doctors podcast, the injury market's top program for doctors, lawyers, and insurers who want to gain greater insight on how to improve patient recovery results and deliver better services in the U.S. injury market. Please welcome your host, Dr. Jeffrey Allen Kronk.
Okay, doctors, today what I want to talk about is the Make America Healthy Again movement. I love this movement. And how do you fit into this movement as a smart injury doctor? How would you fit into this movement? It's really, really clear to me. You're probably some of the most important doctors in this movement, because when we look at the rates of chronicity, when we look at people having so many chronic conditions, one of the biggest chronic conditions that people are going to have is obviously pain. Pain is a problem. The Institute of Medicine and then of the National Academies produced a report, and they produced a report in 2011, and they said chronic pain affects an estimated 116 million American adults, more than the total affected by heart disease, cancer, and diabetes combined. Pain also cost the nation at that time $635 billion each year in medical treatment and lost productivity. Okay, that's a super high amount of lost productivity and a super high amount of costs. So where does the majority of chronic pain come from? It comes from the spine. First, fourth, and sixth leading cause, and I could say the second leading cause, degenerative change is the second leading cause. First is low back, fourth is neck, and sixth is headaches. These are the leading causes of chronic pain. If I go out to the American Headache Society says that if I drive by, and for every fourth house that I drive by, I'm going to drive by a migraine headache sufferer. So in the same report, in 2011, a group called the Mayday Group came out and said a lot of really interesting things. Acute pain usually never goes away after an injury or an illness resolves, but when pain persists, our acute injury usually goes away. But when the pain persists for months or even years long after whatever started the pain is gone, or because the injury continues, it becomes a chronic condition and an illness in its own right. The chronic illness of pain, if inadequately treated, can impede the lives of individuals and families and produce a huge burden in the healthcare overutilization, lost work productivity, and the rising costs of pain-related disability. Prompt, effective treatment of acute pain is critical. If pain becomes persistent, it must be effectively managed as a chronic condition. So this is something that, they wrote, but more importantly, what they wrote is that most people in pain, including those in the chronic symptoms, go to primary care providers to get relief, but current systems of care do not adequately train or support internists, family physicians, or pediatricians, or other healthcare providers who primarily care in meeting the challenges of treating pain as a chronic illness. Primary care providers often receive little training in the assessment and treatment of complex chronic pain conditions. They tend to work under conditions that permit little time with each patient and few options for specialist referrals. Now, what that means is that, guess what? You're it. You're the ones that are trained. If chronic pain is a problem, and what does chronic pain do? Just Google search or go to ChatGPT and say, hey, can chronic pain reduce your brain? And you're going to see absolutely it can, 1.3 centimeters per year. Now, what does that lead to? Could that lead to neurodegenerative conditions? Of course it could. Now, is there direct research to link that? I don't know. You got to look it up. Probably there will be. Here's another statistic for you. 20% of the children experience chronic pain. 20%. Each year, 1.5 million undergo a surgical procedure, and many do not receive adequate pain relief. What? Some 20% of children ages 15 to 17 suffer from ongoing headaches. The numbers are off the charts. When I say, look, in the Smart Injury Doctors program, I can teach you to build a large injury practice or a very large chronic pain practice. It's because the condition is the same. The conditions are the same. The conditions that cause acute injury cause chronic pain. And so there's never been a greater time to grow your practice. If I want to Google search, let's take the traumatic brain injury space. The traumatic brain injury space to me is the upper cervical ligament injury space, because the symptoms, if the upper cervical ligament condition got its due, I think it would be bigger and much more looked upon as a major problem than the traumatic brain injury is. And I'm not talking about if somebody gets a gunshot wound to the head and there's brain tissue that's damaged. I'm talking about a whiplash. I'm in an auto accident, and the shear force has sheared my brain. Well, if it sheared your brain, it sheared other stuff as well. One of the biggest areas that it shears and is problematic is the ligaments. And so I know that the spine, I don't really minimize the spine and spine injuries. I know a lot of providers do. I don't. I don't minimize my importance or my role in the market. I don't minimize your role in the market. If you want to minimize your role in the market, go ahead and minimize it. But if we do comparisons and you start to look at comparisons, let's take a look at, here's an independent study, right? So this was published in the Journal of Manipulative and Physical Therapeutics in what year? In May 30th of 2007. Now, this was one of the biggest, I thought this was one of the most amazing studies. When it came out, I thought, oh my God, we've arrived. The chiropractic profession has arrived. Because basically what they did is they made chiropractors primary healthcare providers in the Chicago Blue Cross Blue Shield system. And patients could choose you as a primary care provider. And guess what? When they did that for 7 years, they found a 60.2% in-hospital admission rate decrease, 59% hospital day decrease if you were admitted, 62% less outpatient surgeries and procedures, and 83% reduction in pharmaceutical costs. Now, this was amazing. This was an amazing thing. They made David Sarnoff, the MD that put this in, I think 2000 or in 2000, he was the DC Doctor of the Year. He should have been Doctor of the Decade, right? And nobody even knows who he is. He says, and this is what he says, our outcome data illustrates we have a healthcare system that's dramatically crippled. We believe chiropractic is one of the central solutions to fixing that system. We also believe there's a short window of opportunity for the profession to claim its rightful place at the table right now. Make America healthy again. It's a great opportunity. Already, we're seeing scientific journals and studies of practitioners with other licenses who take minimal courses on adjustments, who also claim that they can achieve similar or better results than chiropractic physicians who study for 4 years or more. Many physicians and providers are now scrambling to join the complementary and alternative medicine bandwagon. However, the typical physician in transition, eager to join this bandwagon, probably does not have the experience and skill set necessary to do so effectively. Now, here's what he said in 2007. See if this doesn't ring true. Our greater fear is that chiropractic profession will continue to be so mired in its historical internal discordances that it will miss this golden opportunity to assure world leadership. AMI only wants to provide the vehicle that enables the leaders of the chiropractic to stand up and claim their rightful place. So this is what he said. Patients that go to AMI's primary care chiropractors experience an entirely different form of primary care delivery than the traditional allopathic model. The traditional allopathic model does not require routine maintenance and supportive visits. Our model does. Amazing, doctors. We have no limit on the number of visits, treatment, or procedures. Anything which takes place within the doctor's own office, this is the chiropractor, is unencumbered. Our belief is that a minimum of 20 visits is required to impact the lifestyle choices that account for 75% of the etiology of diseases. How this can possibly be achieved in one or two visits. We are philosophically against discount affinity programs and any contractual relationship that would limit access by the patient to go to the chiropractic physician for a token number of visits per year. We will not participate in either types of these plans. To our best recollection, we have never disallowed any form of in-office treatment desired by the chiropractic primary care physician. We have however, redirected what we considered to be inappropriate allopathic workup or referral after discussion with one of AMI's medical directors. If it is this system of truly integrated medicine that precludes the need for restrictive guidelines and disruptive oversight of chiropractic. He goes on to say, the average number of visits the patient makes to AMI's PCP is 1 every 2 to 3 weeks. Guess what? They believed in supportive care. Historically, our PCs have been paid a higher rate than any family practitioner, internal medicine physician, pediatrician, etc. nationwide. We did this because we believe the cost offsets of the outcome would more than equalize the increased fees paid to our physicians. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So, do I believe that the smart injury doctor is the doctor that understands what causes the majority of chronic pain, especially when it's generated by the spine? Yes, I will put my providers up against anybody. Yes, I do, because they understand what these injuries are and they can do a lot of good for it. If I went to a long-term study, which was published a long time ago, and we talked about this study, and I've talked about it before, especially when it comes to upper cervical ligament injuries and what the upper cervical ligament injury can do, to the person that has this injury, right? So if you want to go out and chat GPT right now and just say, hey, can an upper cervical ligament injury cause problems with the cranial nerve? And see what you come up with, see what you get. Can it do that? Absolutely it can. And does that cause problems long term? Yeah, there was actually a study that was done that showed, and you can Google search it, but there was a study that was done that showed that if a person they did it in Saskatchewan, so 2,184 residents of Saskatchewan were surveyed. 15.9% had a history of a auto-related injury. The post-auto-related injury group had nearly twice the rates of neck pain, twice the rates of headaches, twice the of allergies, twice the amount of breathing disorders, twice the amount of low back pain, twice the amount of cardiac problems, and twice the amount of digestive disorders. So do I think that the doctor that understands this condition and can stand up and be able to communicate very simply what he does and what he or she does and what the value proposition is that they bring to their local area, their local community, their local state? Yes, I do. That's why I created the Smart Injury Doctors program. It's a movement. It's a movement of doctors that do 3 things really well. 1, they understand the injuries and they understand how to work them up. They're not paying. They're helping to create the market. They're not being created by the market. They're creating the market. 2, they understand, because they understand what the injuries look like, they understand what they cause, and they understand how to document them. So it makes everyone's life easier. And then the 3rd thing, the biggest, most important thing, is they know, because they understand this condition, they're going to get better results with it. And they are going to build big injury clinics and chronic pain centers. Why? Because they should. The doctors that can do the 3 things that I just listed should be the highest paid doctors in the market today. When you just listen to what I said with AMI's 2007, by the way, in 2007, these chiropractors were being paid higher than most medical doctors in the market. Now, if you're against that, then you're going to minimize yourself. See, anybody that's against what I'm saying is minimizing themselves. And self-minimization is very, very effective at taking you out of the market. You'll not be in the market. You take yourself out. You take yourself out of the competition in the market. If I'm a local chiropractor and you're taking yourself out, I kind of like it, because you're just taking yourself out of my competition in my market. So, doctors, I hope that you got something from this. The Make America Healthy Again should be one of the largest movements that we're participating in. It really should be. And it's not, it's apolitical. What is political about helping people be healthy again? It's apolitical. It's being politicized, but it shouldn't be politicized. It should be a apolitical movement. And it should be a movement where the best doctors in the country are leading the drive. And I believe that is our Smart Injury Doctors. If you have interest in my program, go to SmartInjuryDoctors.com. You can go to the site. You'll see there's a place where you can set up a call with me. Set up a call. Find out more about what we're doing. If you want to improve your injury practice, you want to get more injury patients into it. We've been doing this now for a while, and we have really, really good results. So call and find out more about it. Doctors, as always, just a short riff on a particular topic. I hope you got something out of it today, and I look forward to delivering more content with you, to you, in the future.
You've been listening to the Smart Injury Doctors podcast, the #1 audio production show for professionals in the U.S. injury market that want to deliver better injury services to the patients, clients, or insureds they serve. If you like what you heard today, please leave us a review, and don't forget to join us on our next program.